over to Ms. Moore and let her tell you some things. And if you guys want to chime in and discuss some things that's going on, let's do this.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, my sister. Today, the settlement that the board is discussing, and some of us have the paperwork for it, is nothing. We won some parts of the lawsuit, and they're trying to get us to vote in favor of the settlement. The settlement will allow Bob to stay on and on and on. He will have a part in selecting the new superintendent. He needs an avenue to justify all the bad that he's done. And how many of you today got a robocall from Robert Bobb?
Yes.
Okay, now did you all wonder why it came today?
Yes.
Okay, the day is because he already knows that the board is going to vote on this. And he's trying to impress the whole community, saying that I got my plan, and I want y'all to support, and I'm going to bring all these corporations in, and we're going to do all these good things for you. My question is, when is he going to do it? Does his whole history shows that he has not done anything but destroy public schools. And we are saying today that this board should stand on principle.
That's right.
They do not need to give Mr. Bobb a chance to stay in and do more destruction. Anytime you got Fox 2 with you and all these other people that have been fighting us forever, and you got the newspapers that hate black people and Latinos and people that are poor. That's what this is all about. Let's call a spade, y'all.
That's right.
It ain't about nothing but making sure that our children do not get the education they deserve. Now, some of us went to Lansing not too long ago to stop some of this madness, and we were able to do that. But when we got to Lansing, we were in the education committee listening to what they said about their new plans for education for the whole state. It was important for us to hear that even with a high school diploma, it didn't even matter. That is, if you don't get that, you're messed up for the rest of your life. But they were talking about higher education and making sure that children go to college, because many of our children don't even get through high school, and they just counting them out. Their plans call for higher education, way past high school, in order to have a decent job. Now, do you think that Mr. Bobb has done a real good job to keep our children in school and to make sure that they get...
No!
Well, all right then. Now, let me tell you what we're working on today. You know why it's such a dropout rate? Because guess what? They haven't distributed those bus passes. I've been working on that all day and all last week for the children, talking to the principals. If children are poor and they don't have money and they've been moved from their school and they're supposed to be able to get to school, and what happens? The dropout rate increases.
That's right.
All the principals are frustrated. The parents are frustrated. They said they have not had passes since November, and we got our kids struggling trying to get to school. Now, the last time we protested on the east side in front of one of the schools, the children came out and told me, my brother and sister can't come to school. And I said, why? Because Mr. Bobb moved us from Southeastern over to this school, and only one of us, we have enough money for one of us to get to school. That's a sad commentary.
Money is
And so this is what's happening. Mr. Bobb has increased the deficit. It is so large. Have you ever seen an emergency financial manager come in and increase the deficit?
That's right.
I have within my hands, and I have given it to some of you, a budget just from one budget, which is ARRA money, Title I, $150 million given to us, Mr. Bobb, to raise the achievement level. On this budget is $50 million for outside consultants. One budget. Does that tell you anything? He's brought all these people in. He's taken care of us, and at one of the meetings he told us he would fight forever if we got rid of some of his people that he bought in. Relatives, friends, paying them exorbitant amount. Y'all know how much Mr. Bob gets? How much is his salary? 400,000, and that is from his friends who the court said he didn't have to divulge. That's from his friends.
That's right.
So here we are paying all these people all this money. We are broke. Class sizes have increased. We got 50, 60 kids in the classes, and here we are waiting on them to make a decision on a court case that we've won. Why are we even here? And guess what? They called Mr. Adams in. All these folks have gotten together without any of us, without board members, and they made a deal. That deal is to say, we can't do no better. We'll settle for whatever Mr. Bob wants. If you read it, it's Mr. Bob this, and Mr. Bob that. We can't allow Mr. Bob to do no more damage to our children. We can't do that. So if he stays on, we were told in Lansing that the new governor had not given him an extension. So what is he trying to do? Make sure he gets an extension?
Yeah.
I think that's what the plan is, so he can stay on here and deliver.
We don't even have bilingual education. They threw all the children
Girl,
out.
and that security guard, that bilingual that was helping those kids, they fired him. They had one. Oh, there you are. We told them in Lansing about you too. And so nothing is in our favor. But we did get the aides back. Don't know how long that's gonna, special education.
Temporary.
Investigations going on. We are winning everything. We are winning everything. That's why we sitting here today dealing with this so Mr. Bob can reach in and hold on to something, because his people have told him, when I say his people, corporation,
That's right.
they have told him, you better hurry up and get this done. And because if you don't, we gonna lose this thing.
That's right.
And that's exactly what we're dealing with. They do not want our children to have an education. Y'all want your children to go to charter schools we know nothing about? Do you want your children to go into another neighborhood where you don't even know if they're welcome? And then when they get ready to send them back, which 5,000 or 6,000 kids come back to public education, every public schools, every year. When they come back, we lose the money, and these people send them back, and then when the future comes and they have to find a school, there'll be none for them. Charter schools close every day. Every day you look up, they close because all they want is the money.
That's right.
And when the money runs out, then it's gone. Where do we sit right? Where do we send our children? Do we work hard right? Do we work hard now to protect our children, give them an education, or do we wait till Mr. Bob finishes destroying the whole system? Then our kids don't have nowhere to go. I'm scared for our children. I'm scared for the dropout rate that he caused. You don't give those kids those bus tickets and you keeping them 2 and 3 miles away from home, they can't get there. I got parents with 5 kids in high school. They can only send 2. They have no car. They don't have water. They don't have gas. They don't have lights.
That's right.
These are our children.
That's right.
We got to protect them. That's all I'm going to say. That's why we're here. And insult to injury. Across my computer comes a message saying, from across all the way from Washington, D.C., that Mr. Bob has been trying to get a job in Washington, D.C. for the last few months. He's hoping he can become the chancellor there because his friend became mayor and all of that. I think it's time we begin to look seriously at what's happening to our children. And we better stand together. And I've talked to some of you. We can disagree and still be agreeable, whatever that statement is. But I've talked to some of you. If we leave the man in, he's going to continue destroying. He showed us that what he can do. So we can't do that. There's a lady with her hand up back there.
I just feel that I want to share with about things from a meeting that we've been having in Southwest Detroit And I think that those of us that are here would commend what you're saying, and we support what you're saying because the same kinds of issues have come up in our meetings. Yesterday we had a meeting before today. Why did we have it? Because the school board members came to consult with us on this, the settlement. And so we have been discussing these issues and have asked ourselves, what do we do now with all of this? So it's good to hear that the other side of the city is
in the same boat.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
And are feeling the same stresses.
Thank
We're
you.
we're seeing some of our schools close.
Right.
And
more is going to
down,
close.
and I've heard comments. I've been a teacher. I'm a nun. People are very honest with me. People that have gone, nuns who have gone into the charter schools have told me that some of the teachers are not qualified.
What?
That children are not getting the school, the things that they did. Whether that's true or not, it's something to investigate.
That's true. We've investigated.
So,
That's true.
We're with you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
20 years ago.
Right. Right. All right. I'm finished with it. I don't know if anybody else wants to say anything in this regard, but we thought we ought to wake up the sleeping giants today, because we are the sleeping giants. It is our school system. It is our children, and we are the ones that's going to end up suffering if they close all these schools, put charter schools in, and our children don't have any place to go back to. That's what we're trying to prevent. So let's see what the board does. I hope they stand up today. I hope they stand up for our children and not look at...
One of the things that came up was the security issue about taking and slicing and driver's license. Well, you know, in my community, a lot of people don't have driver's licenses.
And that's what she's going to talk about, because it's happening to her, locking her out of school. Okay, thank you very much.
Miss Cheryl Pugh is getting ready to come and talk to you now about that same issue.